Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Yvonne and you're on Ginger Chick Rehab, where I love to take secondhand finds and I love to share the process with you all of how I make them into beautiful home decor. Okay, well this is going to be Christmas decor. So I've got some shininess going on today. I'm trying, I saw Ellen Goods. I kind of am drawn to her, like when I'm flipping through Facebook, or that's usually where I see her, and I'm like, oh, what was that? What was that? So she just recently did a little tree that I wanted to see if I could recreate what she did. You just never know. And there's a couple other crafts to go along with today's video. So there are just those crafts that you see others do, and you think, oh my gosh, that looks so much fun to create, which of course is what I hope when I'm showing you items that I DIY craft. I hope I inspire you to give them a try. So Ellen Goods had, like, I just saw a little blurb on her page, on her Facebook page, and it just kind of showed her cutting it up, melting it. She had the Target tree. I don't have a Target near me. I'd have to drive hour away. So I found one at my local Dollar General. I'm like, heck, for $5, why don't we give it a try? Though it's kind of a little bit of a hot mess. I kind of have to figure out where my branches are on this tree. So what we're trying to recreate here is the old tinsel trees. So there's not so much tinsel flaring out. The branches are more even across. There's not so much fullness. So I do have to clip a few of the branches off, making sections in between, which is a little bit hard on this Dollar Tree store with all this tinsel trying to find them. And as I'm cutting them off, I'm like, gosh, I hope I'm not cutting off one that I need. I guess I can wire it back on, but I'm hoping I'm not. And you can tell all the fullness on this tree is at the bottom. So I really had to try to concentrate on, okay, this goes here, this goes there, this is, oh my goodness. Okay, I could do this. Now it's time to melt that tinsel. So I've just got my heat gun. I have it on the highest heat. I don't really know what the difference is, but you can see how quickly it automatically starts to melt it. But I do think I should have cut the tinsel down first. So I always share with you when I make mistakes. And I think that because you can see how it's just kind of flaring back and forth as I'm melting it. Like I said, I just saw a quick little blurb trying to reproduce what she did. Yeah, I think I should have cut it first. But, you know, I already started melting because I knew that would be the fun part. And I'm always that type of person that sees a picture and I just run with it and trying to figure out in my head how to recreate it. But yeah, let's just see how this project goes. And I decided as I'm using the heat gun that I was just going to go in the down direction on the branches themselves. Like the main trunk was a little bit hard because back and forth, but I thought if I just go down, that'll give me something shaggy on the bottom to trim. Okay, I don't think I can melt anymore without trimming, so I'm going to go ahead and start giving this a haircut. And then, of course, I'm trying to decide, like, how close do I cut the tinsel off? You know, do I take the heat gun again? You know, this is all my thought process as I'm trimming up, trying to keep these branches straight, realizing that my branches, as I melted them, are not like her target tree. They all were symmetrical. They all were, like, pushed out, and I know that I'm going to have to play with mine to get it to look as sharp as what hers did. So before I take the heat gun to it again, I realize that some of my branches are not quite right, so I have a couple extra ones. I'm probably going to like push and take some like silver wire, of course, to try to straighten them so they're going straight out, you know. I'm glad it was only a $5 tree, but it is fun trying somebody else's technique or trying their craft. So
I'm just going to keep working it with it until I like it. And then, of course, it's not like the branches aren't all symmetrical going up. So you got some that are really long on the top and some that are short on the bottom. So I'm just going to try to do my best to make them look a little bit better. And then you can see my plastic piece at the top. So I put another piece of the tinsel back on, wrap it around there. I'm like, well, I know I can melt that in place and trim off a little bit also. But at least I've got my branches a little bit straighter. It may not be so skinny as hers was, but I'm having fun. It's all about creating, and your first one's always your learning process. I'm going to see if I can melt them in the other direction, which doesn't really seem to be working. So I just kind of kept melting around. Like you could see the longer ones, and it's okay. I'm just melting and trying to wrap them around the wire at the same time, if that makes sense. So I really can't melt much more. I can't straighten much more. It is what it is. The old timey vintage ones, they've been used and abused a little bit. So, yeah, I just kind of like, it's not terrible. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's not great. But let's add it into a vintage tin to see, and then add some decor on it so we can see if we can give it a little bit more life that you don't notice that it's not perfect. It's that perfectly imperfect of crafting. And then, of course, it doesn't just slide right into the coffee tin. That would be way too easy. And it'd be nice if I could just pull the cement at the bottom of this out, but that wasn't going to happen either. So I have to take my nippers and I have to start breaking apart this plastic to free it up. Well, I managed to get most of the plastic off the main part anyway. Now I can slip it into the container. I'm just going to use this crinkled up white paper just as a filler. After getting this older tin on the bottom, you can really tell that, oh my gosh, this is so super new, shiny silver. So I'm going to use some of the Fusion's aging glaze to add a little bit of patina to this so it doesn't look so overly shiny. So that should calm it down a little bit. I think that Ellen did that on hers. Like I said, I probably should have watched it a lot longer than the few minutes or the minute I watched it. And I think if I put some brown tissue paper that'll kind of go with the aging that I did on it, that will also help it look a little bit more vintage than that white crinkle paper. I didn't want to do any fakey snow or any glitter. It's got enough glittery going on with the silver. So I thought this would just be, just simple. At a recent auction, I was able to pick up these little glass bulbs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been using these so much in my DIYs this season that I need to win this bid. I hope. Nobody else wanted them, so that was nice. But anyway, I think I'm just going to use the red ones, and I thought I was going to use a little hook, but I didn't like how the ornament hooks. I just didn't like how it was hanging. It was still touching that bottom branch. I wanted it to be a little bit more free flowing. After a couple, I realized that if I just took the topper off and then wrapped it around there, I could get it to be the way I wanted it to be. So I'm not going to show a final picture till I get all my three done because it'll make sense and it'll look much prettier if I don't show them individually. Sometimes you need to group things together. So my next up is I like the shiny trees. I love the vintage look and they're fun to create. They're a perfect DIY, especially when you can find old doorknobs. Glass one's awesome. Dowel rods, inexpensive. This is inexpensive. Just guesstimating on what size you want your tree. So you can get those shiny, the silvery pipe cleaners. You can order them. You can, like most of your craft stores, and especially right now, Dollar Trees. So very inexpensive. So I'm just going to go ahead and hot glue my dowel into my doorknob. I picked the one that kind of had the silvery, like a lot of the brass color was wore off, so it really has that vintage vibe. So now I want to work with it laid on the side, and it's kind of hard because it rolls, so I'm just using this contraption. I don't know what to call it. The Tracy sent me. I always try to remember to link it. If I don't, let me know, y'all. If you're interested in it, I'll find her link for you to order from her small business. So all I'm going to be doing is just making a vintage tinsel tree. So what I'm going to do is I want to go ahead and wrap the pipe cleaner around the whole dowel rod, covering it up. So I'm just kind of getting my guesstimate of how I want that to look, and then just put, it's really, these pipe cleaners are so easy to work with, just a little dab of glue, and then I'll start wrapping them up the dowel rod. My vision for this tinsel tree is that the branches are just going to go straight out. They're not going to go all the way around the tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist a couple of them together because I do want to hang some ornaments off of, but the pipe cleaners are not strong enough for ornaments like that. Um, these aren't anyway. So I'm just twisting a couple of together, getting a feel for it. I think I added 4 all together to get it to be thick enough where I thought, well, I could probably glue something and it wouldn't sag. So now to put them on the tree, I just do a little bit of glue and then I just wrap it just like that. And the glue is just enough to hold it. I just try to remember always to go into the same direction. So, I mean, I really don't know how much it matters, but you could see that wrapping area from the front or the back, whichever way I want the wrap to be on the back. So I want to stay consistent. But I think four is the key there. I think they're strong enough. And then I'm just going to work my way all the way up to the tree. I'm not going to try to cut them down until after I get them all on. So now I just kind of eyeballed my spacing in between each branch, which was probably about an inch in between them. And so now I'll just take a ruler and I'll start cutting them down. I find when I'm twisting them, it's kind of hard, that's why I choose to cut them afterwards. It's kind of hard to keep them like, okay, because it's going to go a little bit shorter even if you're trying to do it in half because you're twisting that, you're bending it around. So this works for me. As I work up the branches, I just take about a ½ inch off the sides, a quarter. I think I started off with a quarter at first, but then when I got to the top branch, I realized that that was still too long. So I went back down and took off another ½ inch. It's easier to cut more off than it is try to put it back on. And then to make a topper for the tree, I'm just going to take 3 pieces because I feel like it needs like just one on top just looks like it's just hanging out being weird. So I'm going to add another one's kind of at an angle. So sometimes with these vintage doorknobs, they are not completely flat. And this one's base, like the silvery part, is kind of wonky. It keeps moving on me. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to take some of these tin tarts and go ahead and hot glue it into that so it's just a little bit more sturdy. I really liked that aging wax on the previous tree that I think, you know what, to tone this down a notch, I'm going to go ahead and put some of it on here. It doesn't take away the silver per se, as it just adds a little bit of age. Well, that's why it's called aging. A little bit of age to it. It just tones that down a bit. I'm gonna go ahead and play with my base just a little bit. I don't want it just to be like, I just glued it into a tin tart. So I have this German glitter glass. Love this stuff. This is new for me using this year. And I'm just taking some of the Fusion's decoupage in gel, transfer gel, and I'm just dab it in there. It dries clear, and then I'm just going to put a little bit of the glitter so that is shimmery on the bottom to go with the shimmery of the tinsel tree. And I'm actually making these trees for my own decor, especially this one if it fits. So I don't know if the other one will be, because I needed it to be flatter for my Christmas display that I'm making. I just recently hung a shelf. If you follow my Journey channel, you will know what shelf that I just hung that I was thinking of decor. And I love vintage clock faces. And I ran across these vintage watch faces on Etsy, and it was like 20 for, I don't know, $10. I don't know. I don't remember what it was, but it was a whole bunch, and then they actually came and there were 30 in the package. So I have so much. So I in this display that I want to make in my home, I wanted to coordinate my vintage clock faces, and I wanted to put a little bit of Christmas tree decor in here. That's why these tinsel trees spiked my interest, because I'm like, well, that's the color I would like to put in that area. So I'm just randomly picking out some of the faces that I like. I love these. And talk about making a unique, one of a kind piece of Christmas decor. I was able to find some really mini ornaments. Those are hard to find. If you find them, y'all, stag them up. So these are little glass ones, and all I'm going to do is that same thing where I take them out of the little hanger out of the bulb itself and wrap it around the branch. That seems to hang the way that I'd like it to hang. I just love these little bitty ornaments. When I was picking out the watch faces, I knew that I had the gold and the silver, that I could tie that all together. The bigger ones I felt would be a little bit too heavy, but I'm going to go ahead and add some to the little base. Also, how cute is this? Now for my next tree, I'm going to share with you how to make a full tree using the pipe cleaner. So I don't know, that shimmery just makes me happy watching me edit when I'm editing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of lay out a whole pile of them. Now I made one of these last year, so I'm kind of going off my memory where, okay, well, the bottom one was 4, and then I'm going to work my way up with 3 of the pipe cleaners till I get to the top. So I'm just counting out my pipe cleaners right now. And then I'm going to go ahead and stagger my sizes, because you want a short to long, top to bottom. So I'm just going to measure off and then just cut a little bit, like a 1/2 inch off each one of them. Meaning as like, so I did a 1/2 inch there, so my next one I would do 1 inch off of, so I just keep extending how much I take off the pieces until this is what I end up with. So you can add as little or as many as you want, just all depends on what you want to add to it. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece of dowel rod down. I'm not going to have spaces in the middle of these, so this is just a guesstimate on cutting it down for now, but after I get them all wrapped around, I can cut my dowel rod down even more. So this is how this one works. So I'm going to start off at my top with my shortest piece, and I'm just going to wrap it and give it a little twist. That's it. So then I'm going to take my next one. I'm going to do a little bit of glue. I'm going to stagger. You don't want to put them in the same direction. You're just kind of working in threes as you're working your way down. So the top ones just get a little bit of a twist. Then you just keep on repeating that process, a little bit of a twist with a little bit of a hot glue, and then just keep remembering to stagger them around. You could play with them a little bit after they're done, but for now you just need to get them on. And it does make it easier if I can remember, or let me tell you, to fold them in half first before putting them on the dowel rod so that your branches stay a little bit more even. Even with the twist, it still does give you a little bit of an uneven side, but that's that perfectly imperfect. But yes, remembering to fold them in half was always my problem because I just wanted to get them on there. To make a trunk for the tree, it's kind of like the second one where I pre-prepped the dowel rod, where I just put a little bit of hot glue and I just wrapped the pipe cleaner around the dowel rod. Now I can cut off the excess dowel rod because the dowel rod was just made it easier to hold and handle a little bit better, but I don't need the tree to be that long. This dowel rod is the perfect size to go into one of the larger wooden spools, so I'm just going to put a little hot glue in there, and it makes for a nice sturdy base. So here's where you could personalize this. Yeah, I think it's flared out a little too much. I wanted to look a little bit more vintage, so I'm going to go ahead and give my tree a haircut. I do need to add a top to my tree, so I'm going to go ahead and take a couple pieces, fold one in half, so I have those little flared outside, and then put one in the middle. So there's many options I could wrap around that wooden spool, but I just love music sheet paper. It's just a classic look, so I'm just going to cut this down to the size to fit around this. Tie the bottom in with the top. I'm just going to wrap a little bit of that pipe cleaner around the top and the bottom of this little wooden spool. In a recent auction lot that I bought some Christmas items for, this little birdie came with it. Oh my gosh, it matches. I can't really hang too much from the pipe cleaners because it would just drag it down, and then putting the antiquing wax on there would just unstraighten the branches. But I think he looks so sweet in there. Though his beads on the top of him have kind of browned, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of glitter to the front of him, and then a little bit of glitter on the top of the wooden spool because, you know, it's just that time of the year and I love glitter right now.
So thank you so much for watching today's video. And yes, I think Ellen's were a lot better, but you know, Target tree, Dollar General tree. Yeah, you know, but still I gave it a good try and I like it. I mean, you talk about rustic, it is rustic, and I just love shiny. I thought, hey, why not do a shiny video? Yes, I ordered those watch faces of Etsy, and like I thought I was only getting 20 and she sent me like 30. I'm like, oh, bonus, thank you to that that Etsy seller. So again, y'all, I hope that I have inspired you in any way to look at secondhand finds in a new way, even at Christmas time. Throwing things together, crafting the new with the old, it's just plain fun. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video. I hope that you are inspired to get out there and start doing some DIYs for your Christmas decor, or maybe you already have got them done. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and as always, if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. And if you're new and you're checking out this channel for the first time and you liked what you saw, please hit that subscription button along with the notification bell so you know when we uploaded a new video. And we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye!